Today, we're diving into something pretty profound, this idea of life as, well, an endurance race. We've gathered some really powerful material that hopefully will help us all figure out how to navigate the challenges that inevitably come up and maybe identify what might be holding us back. And most importantly, discover where that real strength comes from, the kind that lets us not just keep putting one foot in front of the other, but actually finish strong. You know that feeling when you're cheering someone on, like an athlete just pushing through that last mile, maybe a musician just pouring their heart out on stage? There's something in us, isn't there, that just responds to that kind of courage, that persistence. We just know instinctively that encouragement, those words, can help someone find strength they didn't even know they had. Life itself isn't some casual walk in the park. It's purposeful, it's demanding, it's like an endurance race we're all called to run.
That's exactly it. And for our deep dive today, our mission, really, is to unpack what that means. What does it mean to run this race? We'll look at the course, the terrain. We'll try to identify those obstacles, sometimes things we don't even see that can slow us down, and maybe shine a light on specific burdens we might be carrying. But the main thing, the absolute crucial focus, is finding that ultimate source of strength. And it's a strength that has to come from beyond just ourselves, beyond our own limits. That's what empowers us to push through, to get up when we fall, and to finish strong.
I'm really looking forward to digging into this. We're going to start by exploring this amazing idea of an unseen cheering squad, figures from history who are sort of surrounding us. Then we'll get practical, really practical, identifying the specific baggage, you could say, that we might need to shed to run effectively. And then finally, we'll get to that core truth, the really life-changing part about where our resilience comes from when things get incredibly tough. When you just feel like quitting. So let's dive in. So, okay, this idea of life as a race, it's not just a nice saying, is it? It feels more like a fundamental call to live our lives with real intention, with perseverance. Think about an athlete. They don't just show up, they train, they commit, they focus. It seems the idea here is that our lives are meant to be lived the same way, actively, purposefully, not just letting things happen to us.
Yeah, and when you think endurance race, what comes to mind? For me, it's that sheer effort. Relentless. It's not just physical, right? It's mental, it's emotional, big time. There are high points, sure, but also those long stretches of just fatigue, doubt creeping in, that little voice saying, just quit. Your body wants to stop. Your mind wants to give in. Our lives are kind of like that. They demand consistent effort. It's not a quick sprint where one burst of energy fixes everything. It's definitely a marathon. It needs that day in, day out dedication, cultivating a spirit that just refuses to give up when it gets hard.
Right. And that challenge seems to involve a few key things that feel really familiar in day-to-day life. First, actively getting rid of anything that slows you down or trips you up. Second, staying laser focused on the real finish line, not getting sidetracked by, other things that glitter but aren't the main goal. And third, fighting that urge to just give up when you're exhausted, when the end seems miles away, or when you just plain run out of steam. So maybe for you listening, as you think about your own journey right now, what does this whole purposeful race idea actually mean for you?
It's interesting you say your own journey, because while it is personal, the idea here is that we're definitely not meant to run it by ourselves. There's this concept in the book of Hebrews, chapter 2, verse 1. It talks about being surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses. And that's not just poetry. It paints this picture of a huge unseen crowd, people who've already run their own races of faith and endurance before us. They've finished. They faced their own stuff. And now, in a way, they're watching us, cheering us on.
Yeah, and this cloud, it's not vague. It's made up of real people, inspiring figures whose stories are right there in the chapter before, Hebrews 11. They're examples of incredible obedience, incredible belief, often when it made no human sense at all. Like Abel Lee, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 4 mentions his offering was acceptable because of his faith. It showed his heart. Or think about Noah. God tells him to build this massive ark, and there's not a cloud in the sky. Imagine the neighbors thinking he's lost his mind. But he obeyed. He trusted God knew something he didn't. And then Abraham and Sarah believing God's promise for a child when they were way past childbearing age. It defied everything they knew, but God kept promising, and they chose to believe him. And it happened. These are just, wow, incredible acts of faith. They show what's possible when trust goes beyond just what we see.
Exactly. And if you zoom out, these aren't just old stories. They represent this long history of perseverance. Proof, really, of what faith can achieve against impossible odds. They offer huge encouragement for us now. Just like we might yell for an athlete, these witnesses, they're kind of in the stands for us. They've run their race. They get it. Their lives show us it can be done. You can run this race with faith no matter how tough the obstacles look or, how many times you might stumble along the way.
Okay, this next part, this is where it gets really practical and maybe a little challenging for some of us, myself included. The instruction, also right there in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1, isn't just run. It's lay aside every weight. Now, this is key. These weights aren't automatically sinful things. They could be good things, your job, your hobbies, maybe even relationships sometimes. But if they slow you down in your race, if they hinder your progress toward the real goal, the call is to lay them aside. Imagine a runner trying to do a marathon with like a heavy backpack filled with nice things, maybe souvenirs, important papers. Each thing is fine, maybe even valuable, but carrying them all makes finishing almost impossible. We have to figure out what actually helps us run versus what just weighs us down.
That's a great image. There's a story I heard once about a wealthy man. He just heard a sermon about Jesus returning, passages like 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 16 and 17 about believers being caught up to meet the Lord in the errand. So that night, he dreams he's alive when it happens. Hears the trumpet, feels himself lifting off the ground, exciting stuff. But then, just as he thinks he's going up, he feels this drag, something holding him back. He looks down, and there's this rope tied to his ankle in the other end. It's tied to all his stuff, his huge house, his fancy cars, his investments, everything. He couldn't ascend because he was just too attached. Those things were the weights holding him down.
Wow. That story hits hard. And it lines up perfectly with what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 through 21. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. It's not about having things necessarily, but what has you? What do you truly value? What are you carrying in your heart? So maybe a question for you listening. What weights might you be carrying, maybe without even fully realizing it? Things that are slowing you down in this race. Could be chasing status, needing approval, or just clinging to comfort zones that keep you from stepping out. It definitely takes some honest looking inward.
Yeah, and it's not just those neutral weights. Beyond that, we're also told, again in Hebrews 12:1, to lay aside sin, which clings so closely. Now, this is different. It's not just a burden. It's active. It's insidious. One commentator, M.R. Vincent, put it really vividly. He said it's something that readily or easily encircles and entangles the Christian runner, like a long, loose robe clinging to his limbs. It actively gets in the way, suffocating almost.
Oh, wow. That image is...
Isn't he?
Yeah, it's incredibly vivid and kind of painful, actually. Picture that. Trying to run a marathon, maybe, with this long, flowing robe wrapped all around your legs. You'd be tripping constantly. It restricts every move, like shackles on your feet, and you'd be exhausted just trying to fight it off, trying to untangle yourself. It's such a powerful illustration of how holding on to sin doesn't just feel bad. It physically prevents you from running well, from moving freely with power, with purpose. It's this constant drag, this snag that just wears you out and stops you from reaching your potential. It's a practical problem, not just a moral one.
Which leads to that vital question for every single one of us. What entanglements might be clinging to you right now? What's messing up your stride, making it harder to keep going in your race? And look, this isn't about beating ourselves up or feeling condemned. Not at all. It's about honest self-assessment, identifying what's actually hindering you from moving forward freely and powerfully. Could be obvious stuff, sure. Yeah. Or maybe more subtle things like holding on to bitterness, that constant nagging self-doubt, maybe always putting things off, or just refusing to forgive someone. Recognizing these clinging sins is the first absolutely essential step to shedding them and running lighter, freer, better. It's about wanting that freedom.
Okay, so once we've made that conscious effort, shedding the weights, disentangling from the sin, the goal sharpens right up, doesn't it? It becomes crystal clear. Run with endurance, run with determination. The Apostle Paul, he put it so directly. In 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24, he asked, "Do you not know that in a race all the runners compete, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it." It's active, intentional. You run to win, not just to, show up.
Right. The core idea there is just don't give up. Keep going. Paul really drives this home later in Acts chapter 20, verse 24. He says, "But I do not account my life of any value, nor as precious to myself, if only I may finish my course in the ministry that I received from the Lord Jesus, to testify to the gospel of the grace of God." That shows such an intense focus, doesn't it? An unwavering commitment to the ultimate goal. Nothing else mattered as much as finishing the specific race God had set for him. It wasn't about personal achievement, but fulfilling that divine purpose. That's what gives the race meaning.
And Paul also talks about continually pressing on. which is so crucial, isn't it? Especially when the road feels long and the finish line seems impossibly far off. In Philippians chapter 3, verses 12 through 14, he says, "Not that I have already obtained this or am already perfect, but I press on to make it my own, because Christ Jesus has made me his own." He continues, "Brothers, I do not consider that I have made it my own, but one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus." So it's not about being perfect right now. It's about persistence. Always moving forward, straining toward that goal, no matter the bumps, the stumbles, the feeling that you haven't quite made it yet. It's a dynamic, ongoing push.
Absolutely. And while this race feels intensely personal, demanding our own effort, it's also crystal clear we're not supposed to do it solo. There's that incredible wisdom in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 and 10. It says, "Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up." That just screams community, doesn't it? Shared journey, mutual support.
It really does. It points right to how vital it is to have people alongside us, real companions running their own races, too. It goes on to say in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 12, "A threefold cord is not quickly broken." We need people willing to actually help us up when we stumble, to offer comfort when the journey feels cold and lonely, to strengthen us when challenges pop up. And it's not just, a pat on the back. It's about shared burdens, accountability, this collective strength that makes us all tougher than we could ever be on our own, recognizing that sometimes our weakness finds its strength in someone else.
Yet if you step back and see the bigger picture, it's clear. This race is both personal and communal. That cheering from the cloud of witnesses we talked about, it gets echoed, amplified by the real, tangible encouragement and support from faithful friends in your life right now. These are the folks running beside you, celebrating wins, lifting you up if you fall, maybe even helping you spot those weights or sins you didn't see yourself. They're a critical part of the support system God designed to help us keep going.
So what happens then when the endurance starts to fade, when your legs feel heavy and you're just asking, how much further can I actually do this? The answer, as one insight puts it so beautifully, is that the finish line is not further than the strength I give you. And this brings us right to the absolute core, the pivot point of this whole deep dive, looking to Jesus. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2 calls him the founder and perfecter of our faith. He's the ultimate focus, the indispensable one.
And what's just incredible here is that Jesus himself run a race far harder, far more painful than anything we'll ever face. Hebrews 12:2 says, "He endured the cross, despising the shame." Why? For the joy that was set before him. And now, having won his race, he's seated at the right hand of the throne of God. What does that mean for us? It means he gets it. He knows our struggles intimately because he walked that path perfectly. He endured the ultimate test. And because he finished his race, he's not just able to sympathize, he's able to lead us to our finish line. He knows the way, every twist, every turn, every potential stumble. He provides the guidance and, crucially, the power.
That's such a key distinction. Think about your passions right now. What really drives you? What gets your time and energy? Is it your job? Getting ahead? Is it accumulating stuff? Feeling secure? Now ask yourself this. When this life's race is run, when you cross that final finish line, what words do you really want to hear? Do you want to hear, wow, you got really high up in your company? Or maybe you collected a lot of nice things? Or are the words you're truly longing for those ones from Matthew chapter 25, verse 21? "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master." Keeping that focus squarely on Jesus helps align everything else, our passions, our efforts, with what truly lasts, what has eternal value. It defines how we run and what prize we're really aiming for.
Which naturally leads to the big question, the one every single runner faces eventually. What happens when we fall? Because let's be honest, in a race this long, this tough, falling isn't an if, it's a when for all of us. Maybe it's a moral slip-up, a huge setback, or just a moment of profound weakness. We will stumble. But Jesus' message here is so clear, so full of hope. You can finish strong if you just get back up after you fall. He's not just able to pick us up. He's willing, eager even. With endless grace, limitless compassion, he reaches down to restore us, to set us back on track, no matter how many times we've fallen or how badly we think we failed.
There's a poem that illustrates this so powerfully. It's called The Race by Dr. D.H.D. Groberg. It tells the story about a young boy just full of excitement for this kid's race. His dad's in the crowd beaming, his number one fan. The gun goes off and the boy takes off like a shot. He's in the lead, feeling amazing. But then, crossing this little dip in the track, he trips, bam, falls flat on his face. And the crowd, they laugh. He feels this wave of humiliation just wash over him, wants the ground to swallow him up. But lying there, hearing the laughter, he sees his dad stand up. His face is full of concern, but his voice cuts through everything, steady and strong. Get up and win that race. So, spurred on by his dad's look, the boy scrambles up, dusts himself off, starts running again, but he's trying too hard to catch up, pushes himself, and boom, falls a second time. Now he's just defeated. Despair starts creeping in. He thinks maybe I should just quit, just give up. But again, through the noise, he finds his father's face, that same look, that same silent command, get up and win that race. So he digs deep, tries again, but he's exhausted now, frustrated, and down he goes a third time. This time it feels crushing. He just lies there. A tear runs down his cheek. Why bother, he thinks. What's the point? But then this echo seems to come from deep inside. You haven't lost it all, for all you have to do to win is rise each time you fall. Get up and win that race. So, with this last surge of borrowed strength, he gets up again. He refuses to quit. She runs, slowly now, but he runs all the way to the end, even though he's way behind everyone else. Another kid crosses first, gets the big chair, but when this boy, the one who fell 3 times, finally makes it across the line, last place, the crowd sees his persistence and they give him an even bigger, more heartfelt cheer, just for finishing. He goes to his dad, says sadly, I didn't do so well. But his father, just full of love and pride, pulls him close and says, to me, you won. You rose each time you fell.
Oh, that story just gets me every time. It captures so perfectly how we feel when we stumble, when we fail, when we fall in our own lives, especially when we feel judged or laughed at by others. And the Father's steady encouragement in that poem. Such a beautiful picture of Jesus' constant presence, his unconditional love for us. He doesn't condemn us when we fall. He doesn't yell at us for messing up. Instead, he consistently holds out his hand, offers his strength, his grace, his unwavering belief in us, urging us to rise every single time, empowering us to keep going. And that critical need we all have, that need for strength beyond what we possess, especially when we're at our absolute lowest, that strength is found only in Jesus Christ. He is the one true, inexhaustible source of that kind of resilience. And this isn't just wishful thinking. This promise of renewed strength, this divine help, stated right there in Isaiah chapter 40, verses 29 through 31. It says, he gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, he increases strength.
Even youth shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. That's a declaration, isn't it? A promise. It acknowledges our human limits. Even the young and strong get tired, they fall. But there's a different source of strength available for those who trust, who wait on the Lord.
So when your own strength gives out, and believe me, it will at some point when you feel totally spent, just remember, there's a greater strength. An unending supernatural power source available to you. And it's not about just gritting your teeth harder, trying to muster more willpower from within. No, it's about tapping into his strength, drawing from that deep divine well that never runs dry. It's a total shift from relying on yourself to relying on him. Now, thinking about the ultimate goal, finishing strong. Truly finishing strong. The Apostle Paul gives us such a powerful snapshot near the end of his life. He's facing death, and he writes these words in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. He says, for I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure has come. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have loved his appearing. Wow.
Yeah, wow is right. And that's not Paul boasting, is it? It's a testimony. A statement of fact about a life lived faithfully, a race run with everything he had, right to the very end. That crown of righteousness he talks about, that's the ultimate prize. It signifies more than just crossing the line. It signifies a triumphant finish. It's the assurance of reward for a life dedicated to the race, facing challenges with faith, getting up after every fall. That truly embodies finishing strong.
And even though, yes, Jesus is now seated at the right hand of God, like Hebrews 12:2 says, there's a sense, isn't there, that we feel his presence. We know he's still right here with us as we keep running our races. It's like the cheers from that cloud of witnesses get louder, more encouraging. And as we keep our eyes fixed on him, we start to feel this strength that isn't our own, a supernatural energy. It's his power, his support, his presence fueling us.
We can absolutely rejoice that he finished his race. And because he won, because he knows the path, because he walked through suffering and came out victorious, we can truly know that if we stumble, he's there to catch us. If we fall flat on our faces, he will help us get back up to finish that race. His message to you, to me, echoing down through time, right into this moment is always the same. Finish strong. And remember, the strength to do that, the power to rise again and again, to keep pressing forward no matter what, it comes from Him. Only from Him. There's simply no other source for that kind of enduring power.
And here's the thing. We don't know exactly where our personal finish line is, do we? We don't know when we'll cross it. So that means we have to plan, we have to resolve to finish strong every single day. We don't know what hour we might finish, so we need to commit to finishing strong every minute. And we don't know how many more chances we'll get in this life to make a real difference, to live out our purpose. So we have to plan to finish strong in every opportunity that comes our way, every single one. It's a constant, moment-by-moment choice.
Which brings us right back to you, listening right now. What will it take for you to finish strong? Well, it means remembering that great cloud of witnesses cheering you on their lives, proving it's possible. It means intentionally deciding to lay aside those heavy weights the world tries to saddle you with, things that might even seem good but ultimately slow you down.
Yeah.
And it means actively working to shed that sin that clings so tight, tripping you up as you try to run, those habits, those attitudes that hold you back. But above all, most crucially, it means constantly, consciously looking to Jesus. He's the source of all strength. He's the one who empowers you to get up each time you fall, to keep going, and to truly finish your race well.
Our deepest hope, really, is to see every single one of you cross that finish line, not limping or defeated, but with a smile, full of peace, ready for everything that awaits you. So as you think about your own race, the one you're running right now, maybe take a moment. What specific weight or what clinging sin do you feel prompted to deal with, to intentionally lay aside, starting today?
And maybe even more critical, how will you actively, consciously look to Jesus today? How will you acknowledge that the strength you need to finish strong, to get back up after you fall, comes only and completely from Him?
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep running your race, run with endurance, run with perseverance, run with faith, and always, always remember, you can finish strong.